Good morning. I'd like to show you how I built this R154 internal throwout bearing setup for the narrow block 4G63 Mitsubishi. This is the bell housing. It's pretty labor intensive to build these to get them just right. It took a long time to bring this one to market. There were a couple of things that had to happen. The original transmission for the 154 didn't have a long enough throwout bearing collar to go all the way up to the Mitsubishi flywheel or pressure plate. So I had to build it into the bell housing. So originally this had a collar that came out about 3 inches that the throwout bearing would have rode on. And I had to cut that off because I replaced it right in the bell housing. You will see that this transmission fits perfectly flush up into that bell housing. It works out real well. The other thing I did is on the input shaft, I cut it down to the width of a pilot bearing, to exactly, I think that's 1,000 different thicknesses. And instead of, they had an arrangement in here where you were supposed to just put a nut on these studs and the bearing would push just against those studs. I liked it better pushing against the whole pad. So I made these plates different thicknesses, and I fit them down in there so that you could select your adjustment. It's with a new disc on the Mitsubishi stock clutch. And then I use this Coleman style throwout bearing. And all I did was bring out these ends so that these are 1/8 pipe fittings so that you can fit them to any fitting that you'd like. And I built this spacer that's beveled on the 2 sides to use the stock Toyota pilot bearing setup. You simply put the spacer into the crankshaft end and then put your bearing in there. And I made this plate because I was concerned about starter location, and I like to cover up the flywheel from rocks and stones and all that sort of thing. The other thing I did is I had to bore this inner circle out of the flywheel, and I had to make it big enough to accept the input shaft so that the input shaft could spin in there freely. I made that around 28 to 30 millimeters. Can be any size in there if you buy. This is the Toyota disc. It's just a 9-inch disc. I think this one came out of an 85 Toyota truck with a 22R engine. And it fits perfectly inside that front wheel drive setup. Then I just used the Mitsubishi pressure plate or any kind of thing like that. I know some guys like custom flywheels, but So this is the whole system as it goes. And it bolts right in there. These guide pins would be the pins that are in your transmission. So the guides are all in and everything, and it still spins freely. And this motor's all assembled up, so it's hard for me to spin it. But that's it. There ain't a lot more. Put in your master cylinder. The way I've got it adjusted out, it's already adjusted in there freely. Everything's all centered up. And away you go. Boogity, boogity, boogity.